memoir, she reveals even more embarrassing things about Will Smith, including the fact that she left him in 2016 after so she was the one who cheated on him, and then the marriage broke up, and it's at least heavily implied that she's the one who broke it up.
I did not cheat on Will Smith, no matter how sad he looked at that table. And when you read this book, you will kind of get an understanding of why the red table even happened in the first place.
People are just like, my God, what kind of narcissist is Jada that Will has been having to live with this person? So someone please rescue Will off that boat and take him to Laura Wasser and get him a proper divorce from this monster.
Welcome back. Today, all eyes are on Jada Pinkett Smith again. Honestly, it feels like the internet will simply never let this story fade away. If you've been on Instagram lately, you've probably noticed old clips of Jada resurfacing everywhere. Here's the thing though, most of what people are reacting to isn't new content at all. These are old conversations being recycled, and the timing is interesting. Some people think it's connected to a different world coming back, with Jada reportedly set to star in it. Could this be a calculated buzz campaign to get eyes on the show? Maybe. Or maybe one person posted something and the whole internet piled on. Either way, we need to talk about it.
You know, everything came out and I was like, oh, I got to take myself to the table. Now mind you, Will and I were not together. We hadn't been together. 2016. And I decided I'm gonna take myself to the table. Will says, I want to come to the table with you. And I was really surprised, and I was like, wow. He's like, I don't want you to be at the table by yourself. I want to support you. And so I was like, oh, okay. So he comes to the table, and you know, I try to just, you know, and this is a really complex moment. We come to the table, and Will's not ready.
So let's go back to the beginning. Will and Jada were the Hollywood power couple. From the outside, they looked like everything. A strong family, 2 successful careers, 2 kids in Willow and Jaden. People genuinely admired what they appeared to have built together. Then singer August Alsina went public on social media, claiming he and Jada had been in a relationship.
And okay, you know, August is dating Jada Pinkett Smith, and that was something that was circulating as a rumor, and that kind of solidified it to people. So
I actually sat down with Will and had a conversation due to the transformation from their marriage to life partnership that they've spoken on several times, and it, you know, not involving romanticism. Mm-hmm. He gave me his blessing, and I totally gave myself to that relationship for years of my life.
He's not ready, and he's kind of backtracking, and he's going through this motion, and I'm like, so I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to speak my truth, but I'm also gonna protect you. So if I gotta look like the adulterous wife to make sure you're good, I'm gonna do it.
What is this book called? How to Humiliate Your Husband? Like, what is this? Because it just does not stop. She also goes on to say, I didn't cheat on Will because we were separated for 7 years. So therefore, when I had the entanglement with August, that was just an entanglement because we were really separated anyway.
There was no way to dodge it. Their names were too big. The story was too loud. They had to face it directly. And that's when the cracks started showing publicly.
You know, and I truly and really, really deeply loved and have a ton of love for her. I devoted myself to it. I gave my full self to it. So much so to the point that I can die right now and be okay with knowing that I truly gave myself to somebody.
right, you did the right thing.
And I really loved a person. I experienced that. I know what that feels like, and some people never get that in this lifetime. So I know that I'm completely blessed. And this conversation is difficult because there's so much that it would be hard for people to understand.
I do want to start out as your mama, right? To clarify some things, because I'm a little tired of all the vitriol being thrown your way. I'm sick of it. Right. And I just want to say that, you know, when you guys decided to separate, okay, that was a decision that both of you made. You're both separated. You did not cheat on Will.
Right.
You're both parties are living their lives, both. Okay, so it's not just you.
Will's image took a hit. People started questioning everything. And then came the Oscars, where the man the world had always seen as untouchable completely fell apart on live television. Most people trace that breaking point directly back to Jada's admitted involvement with a man who was essentially her son's friend. Her comments after that whole situation, where she basically said it made her happy or made her call him her husband again, were complicated. Apparently, she never actually asked him to do that.
You write about in the book how you didn't realize that Will had actually slapped Chris.
Yeah.
Until much later. You suspected maybe it was a skit or a joke.
I thought it was a skit, and then I realized it wasn't, but I didn't think that he actually made contact with Chris. Looked like he ducked it.
Social media grabbed onto this eye roll. And they believed that that eye roll was some kind of like, go get him, Will.
Yeah. And even if it was like, I can't force Will to do anything.
In the book, you say protection is your love language. He protected you, didn't he? Did you see that as an act of love?
You know, it's a really complicated moment. It's a really complex moment. I would say yes and no in a certain manner.
That's Will's story to tell, and it deserves way more care than a headline can give it. Now, while all these old clips kept resurfacing, one came up about Chris Rock apparently asking her out. And she basically played the role of the cheating wife just to protect Will's ego.
So, after being publicly humiliated again by his apparently estranged wife, he responds by blaming himself and his emotional blindness. So he's the one who's emotionally blind. She is just ripping him to shreds in public constantly. No concern for his own emotions. But she's the one who brings him on camera to talk about her affair while he sits there clearly like on the verge of tears. It's an utterly broken man. And she doesn't notice or doesn't care, or both. And yet Will Smith says that he's the one who is emotionally blind. And then he extols Jada's hidden nuances and subtle beauties. And it's true, by the way, and I don't deny that if Jada Pinkett Smith has any beauty, it is very subtle.
But I wanted him to be okay. Now, also in that moment, two things. As I'm moving forward, I'm also moving backwards. Because of what I realized at that moment, I got in my martyrdom bag. And what that is for me is, I hadn't quite learned how to love myself and not leave Will on the side of the road. And I hadn't learned how to love Will and not leave myself on the side of the road. And in that moment, because I felt so bad that he was in this situation, I decided I'm gonna love you, Will, and I'm gonna leave myself at the side of the road.
It's a mess, honestly. A complete one. But there's one specific conversation that came back up that I really want to get into, because there's so much truth buried in it that I'd hate for people to scroll past it. Especially because it came from someone a lot of people might not expect to be saying something so real. Here's why this matters beyond just the Smiths. You don't have to live through someone else's mistakes to learn from them. You can watch, pay attention, and actually apply those lessons to your own life before you end up in the same situation. That's the whole point. And the core of this conversation, Will gave her everything. The love, the adoration, the lifestyle, all of it on a silver platter, and it still wasn't enough. That's something a lot of people can recognize. So many women enter marriages believing that the next decision, the next change, the next thing will finally make them happy. But that happiness they're chasing, it was never going to come from outside themselves.
It is not his responsibility to make you happy. He can't. It's impossible. But it took me forever. Hard-headed, stubborn, because that romantic idea. And that's why I talk about checking the boxes. It's like, I did everything I was supposed to do. You get to have your dream. How come I'm not having mine? And that's because Will was doing what he wanted to do.
He was making himself happy.
He was making himself happy.
And he says that to you, doesn't he? He says, when you separate, he says he wants you to go and...
He's like, go Go make yourself happy.
Here's the thing about happiness. It doesn't live in someone else's hands. It doesn't come from things you can touch, and it definitely can't come from another person. The moment you hand that responsibility to someone else, you're setting them up to fail. Think about it. There are men in marriages right now who cannot win, no matter what they do. A man could move mountains for his woman, and she'd still find something wrong. But the real question isn't about him at all, is it? Could she be happy alone? In a quiet room, by herself, with nothing and no one to blame?
I retire. I retire from trying to make you happy. I need you to go make yourself happy and just prove to me that it's even possible. So me and Jada was reflecting about love. And I asked her, I said, what did she think was, one of the biggest revelations that she had had about love? She said that you cannot make a person happy. And I thought that was a real deep idea. You can make a person smile, you can make a person feel good, you can make a person laugh, but whether or not a person is happy is deeply and totally and utterly out of your control.
Because here's where it gets dark. When someone can't find that peace within themselves, they start putting pressure on their partner. Subtle manipulation, impossible expectations, all of it designed to keep that person in a role they were never supposed to play.
Somehow when we got married that we would become one. And what we realized is that we were two completely separate people on two completely separate individual journeys, and that we were choosing to walk our separate journeys together. But her happiness was her responsibility, and my happiness was my responsibility.
Now here's the plot twist. Women typically drive the direction of a marriage, but in this case, that dynamic was completely reversed. Jada Pinkett has said multiple times that she never wanted to be married. Everything Will Smith wanted, she didn't. But he wanted her, and she stayed in a life built around his vision, not her own. So much of her unhappiness, the unraveling, the very public fallout, it all traces back to that. She was living someone else's dream. And no relationship survives long when only one person is actually getting what they want. Here's the thing most people don't talk about. Both people have to genuinely want the marriage. Not one person fully committed while the other is just along for the ride thinking, well, I guess this is fine. That never works. She's been open about not really wanting marriage or kids, and look at how that played out. When two people marry, they become one unit. But that one unit is made of two different halves, each bringing something the other lacks. Your strengths cover his blind spots. His strengths cover yours. That's the whole point of the partnership. What's quietly killing marriage right now is both people fighting for the same seat. Here's the analogy that says it best. A battery has a plus end and a minus end. Put two batteries in a remote the wrong way and it just won't work. Not because the batteries are bad, but because they're out of order. That's exactly what's happening in a lot of marriages today. Both people are trying to occupy the same role, and nobody's left to fill the other one. Marriage is a dance. Every single day, you're choosing to stay in step with each other. The second one person opts out of that, the whole thing stops working. And I want to push this even further. A lot of women are doing things in their marriages that their husbands never even asked for. Overextending, burning themselves out, running on empty, because their idea of what a wife should look like doesn't match what their actual husband needs. On top of that, so many women stop taking care of themselves entirely, always saying, there's no time. Here's the thing so many women quietly wrestle with: the feeling that they're supposed to pour into everything and everyone, while their own needs sit at the bottom of the list. But prioritizing yourself isn't selfish. It's actually one of the best things you can do for your relationship. Some men have never once asked for perfectly cooked meals or a spotless house. They've said flat out, you don't have to cook, I'll handle it. We can hire a cleaner. You are the priority. And yet, women still run themselves into the ground trying to meet a standard nobody set. Here's the plot twist, though. Some men really only need two things: respect and consistent intimacy. Give them that, and they'll tell you everything else works itself out. But some women will put every other responsibility first, and both of those things end up missing entirely. So what's actually going wrong? That's the question worth sitting with. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this conversation deserves more than one voice. If this hit home for you, subscribe for more Hollywood deep dives, and give the video a thumbs up so more people find it. See you in the next one. Love you.
And so then that leads to the conclusion that Will Smith, when he did the infamous slap of Chris Rock, he was doing that in defense of a woman who's not even living with him anymore, and hadn't been for years, which is even more embarrassing. So she brought that out to embarrass him again. And now we have Will Smith's response to all of this. So the New York Post has this. Will Smith has broken his silence about the bombshells dropped by his estranged wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, about their 25-year marriage. The Men in Black star 55 sent the New York Times an email saying the revelations, quote, kind of woke him up, adding that Pinkett Smith, 52, was more, quote, resilient, clever, and compassionate than he'd understood. Quote, when you've been with someone for more than half of your life, a sort of emotional blindness sets in, Smith wrote, according to the Times article published Saturday. And you can all too easily lose your sensitivity to their hidden nuances and subtle beauties. That was Will Smith's response.
Yeah, my manager, Miguel, Ellen Rakuten, who's the producer, they begged me. My PR, my Karen Censor, they all begged me. They were like, please don't do this. Please don't do this. And two things, I was like, I needed people to know. First, I wasn't going to be emotionally blackmailed. I was like, hold up. I'm going to put myself out there. You ain't got the period. And on top of it, I want Will out. I don't want him part of this. Okay, I'm the bad guy. I'm the worst. Great. Let's be done with it. Right. I wanted it done. You got your answer. I'm the adulterous wife. Let's be done. And let's move on.
And in all honesty, I love where I am as far as Will, my relationship with him. You know, like we went through that long period of separation. Yes. You know what I'm saying? In order for us to journey separately and do some journeying together. And it just seems as though we've come to a really, really beautiful place together.